Boom. Shakalaka. Oh, we got an achievement. Hey guys, it's Keith here, and I'm very excited to be showcasing you this game today. We're going to be using our MechVDV. On the Russian side, we're going to be battling out on Ruda Forest against the American team. This one's going to be an interesting one, a lot of tactical gameplay, much like my other games, and something's going to happen in the middle of the game that's going to force me to change up my entire game plan here, and we're going to struggle a lot today. But without further ado, sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy the show. To kick things off, as always, we're going to be bringing out an aircraft here today. So the Su-35S is going to be my aircraft of choice. We're going to come out and see if we can spot some enemy aircraft to challenge these guys with. Does manage to see the C-70 Globemasters here. So Su-35 is going to be moving in to engage then. The enemy F-35, I believe that's the C plane, is gonna go past our plane here. Su-35 launching a few missiles, missing everything else, but a sudden nuke goes off, and at this point I thought that the game sort of bugged out, and I was wondering why my Su-35 was launching a nuke instead. But turns out my teammate did launch one, however did not manage to take anything out with it, so it's purely just to threaten the enemy team with the nuke. Nevertheless, we did manage to clear out the skies here, and we have total air superiority. So we're going to be keeping the Su-35 on and about right now to see if we can spot some cheeky, sneaky enemy helicopters here. So far, nothing to be seen, so we're going to be pushing out ahead, see if we can spot anything more. Su-35 does manage to see the orange player bringing out a Reaper drone. So, because we are well equipped to handle that, we're going to be launching a single missile towards that drone and taking it out. Teammate here just continuing its bombing run across Bravo sector here. Bravo sector is quickly being captured. I believe that's by the enemy pilot that has just ejected and landed safely onto Bravo. We're going to be refunding the Su-35 as our ground forces here start making their way into the city. Now, initially I wanted to play in the center of the city here because I think the deck with my infantry is well suited for this urban environment. But I noticed that none of my teammates here actually had any intention or stated their intention into pushing towards Alpha and Bravo to the east side of the map here. So since no one is taking that responsibility now, I'm gonna be forced to move all of my units towards the right side here, just to stabilize the front line, making sure that we don't give up any territory too early on. So you can see now my BMP-3 with the ATGM squad now moving into position to the center here to cover, as I pushed out the rest of my forces towards the right side here. Double Strella is going to be joining in as my early anti-air forces, as I have more infantry pushing towards the right. Cheeky teammates artillery is going to be taking out the enemy pilot that has survived briefly. So that's gonna be a fun kill for my teammate here. But if you look at speaking of kills, look at the top right now. We are already up ahead by 1,525 points, 1,600 now after the pilot has been eviscerated by the BMP-3. So we are at a fantastic lead right now. Confident to be pushing out our forces as we have secured some of the center here. Now Alpha is being taken by the enemy right now, so I'm a bit wary about my position here, wary to push in my units into the town where the houses are right now. So I've opted to instead deploy my infantry in the forested areas here and have them push out on foot to engage or recon the town itself. They're gonna be pushing out to see if they can spot enemy infantry by forcibly removing the enemy infantry from the houses here. So watch out, ICE. Eviction notice going on. Anyway, gonna be bringing in more reinforcements here in form of the Kamas. The Kamas is a very useful truck it's going to be able to carry both supplies and a lot of infantry, given it's the number of seats here. A common thing that I do right now is that I would have the Kamas bring in infantry, while a bigger supply dump, a bigger supply truck such as the Duplo, will be carrying in a large amount of supplies, so that I could ferry them using my Kamas that I've just brought in. Right now, just going to be shifting all my units into position. You can see how I've spread them out nicely. BMP-3 is going to be taking a center position here, just overlooking the open fields to the north side. Keeping the BMP-3 in the center position is going to allow me to shift it left and right to cover most of my infantry here. I can see enemy helicopters right now moving in, pushing in the Strella to provide some anti-air support. But the low-flying or the low-altitude Apache does catch out my Desantniki squad pushing in. So I'm going to have to be careful approaching that position with the Apache and the rockets that it has. It's going to be a very hard target for my infantry to kill. T-72 is going to be joining the front lines right now. I'm just going to be putting it to the back here and getting them on standby to react to any heavy assets the enemy might present. You can see now on the bottom screen here, I brought in the Duplo that I mentioned earlier. So my Kamas is going to be moving towards where the Duplo is and picking up that supplies and shipping it all over the front lines. My ATGM squad here is going to be pushed up further so that it doesn't get blocked by these buildings here. I'm also keeping the BMP-3 here in order to support the ATGM squad. Pushing the Retrospective up right now, and I do manage to spot the Apache that's still hovering, hasn't moved position, so the Strella is not able to take it out, but there is a simple solution to this present problem, and that's going to be in the form of the Su-34. This Su-34 is equipped with 8 thermobaric bombs, so all I have to do is drop those bombs on target. And you start to hear the audio cue of the Su-34 flying in right now. Lo and behold, dropping these bombs directly on top of the helicopter there. It does manage to take out several other units. I'm pretty sure it damages any other potential units that might be there as well. With the helicopter threat taken out, I'm going to be pushing on my infantry now, and as well as all my other units, and trying to secure the houses here. Excuse me. Lone Desantniki on the right side here, pushing up ahead. It's going to be joined by several other infantry units that I've just brought in. Brought in an VDV Spetsnaz team to provide some recon, as well as an Igla team just to cover the skies in case of any enemy drone or helicopter pushes overhead. You see how I'm spreading my units out, not bunching them out together. That's generally what you should be doing as well. Having a Retrospective here to provide recon so I can see further, but at this range in between the houses here, even your simplest units is going to be coming into contact with any enemy squads there. So that's the whole point of having force recon, right? You're engaging or recon by force, and meaning you're gonna push your units up, and if they take fire, you would have confirmed that the enemy has a presence in those buildings. Anyway, as we push our forces all over the front right now, I'm also inching my tanks closer, as well as keeping my Strellas nearby as well, to keep pressuring the enemy as much as I can. Right now, just taking it slow because we haven't spotted any enemy units at the moment. Kama's still busy ferrying supplies as my Metis push out to capture this building, which provides a decent line of sight down the road next to Alpha. All my other units are going to be taking forward positions as well. Here we go, we have our first engagement against the enemy cavalry scouts here. Metis up close. The Metis does come with the Dush, I believe. So it's a heavy machine gun able to suppress and deal a lot of damage. The Comanche team with its thermobaric rocket as well is going to be destroying the building that the cavalry scout is in. Snipers revealed their position, so this is why the BMP-3 is now in a perfect position to be engaging the enemy sniper. VDV Spetsnaz is not going to be revealing itself for now, but the enemy mechanized infantry team is going to be engaged by my Desantniki as well as the Eagler. So all across the front we have some solid engagements right now. We're taking a lot of wins and pushing the enemy back slowly. Gonna be retreating my Alligator as the enemy Abrams comes into view. Metis is gonna be engaging the tank up close, so this is when I decided to push out my T-72s. I like to use my T-72s in packs, so in pairs. So really, it's crucial because the T-72 on its own, it's not gonna be able to do much. But when they come in a pair like this, think of it like a wolfpack, right? So hunting a bigger target, you're gonna need some help here. Sneaky enemy Abrams that's camping out in tree lines far towards the back here does take a shot at my T-72. I'm going to be diving the T-72 behind the building to hide it out. At this point, the enemy does review the MLRS position, so my BMP-3 once again in a perfect position to just charge straight forward in between these buildings here, hoping to catch that MLRS. Does spot the enemy shore red, hoping by now to catch both of them out. Enemy cluster bomb tries to take a shot at the BMP-3, but because we moved it soon enough, we now have secured a solid kill against the MLRS. Now we're moving pretty aggressive right now because of the pressure that we're putting onto the enemy. So generally, you want to be exerting as much pressure as you can. When you have the momentum, it's best to capitalize on it. All throughout the front, my units are taking engagement and taking damage, so I'm going to be bringing in more supplies to repair them as best as I can. As you can see, I'm bringing back the wounded Okmichiki back to the supply dump as well. Constantly just shifting my units around so that the enemy artillery does not get a clean shot at the target. Having multiple layered defenses here is also going to help you secure your territory far better than you would if you have a single unit just in place. Double BMP-3 now with infantry on board is going to be pushing up on the far right here in order to capture more territory and potentially flank the enemy from an angle they're not expecting. So pink player now has brought in an A10 Warthog, lands a direct shot into my Strellas as well as taking out both of my Comanches, which were busy ferrying supplies. So that was a very cool A10, but the A10 does get quickly taken out by my teammates' sand batteries here. Enemy drone just is crashing in front of the screen right now, very cool. As we are now being engaged by the enemy Comanche. Luckily, we still have the Eagler team right now, as well as the BMP-3 in close range, quickly taking out that Comanche. Once again, we have the momentum right now. Gonna be pushing up the BMP-3 to see if we can take or target destroy the enemy IronThunder that's firing at our position. We've won the engagement on the left side here, but my units are heavily damaged, still alive, so I'm gonna be pulling the Desantniki back towards the supply dump to get healed up. BMP-3 does bump into the enemy Bradley or Shoret. Yep, that's a Shoret there. Gonna be smoking out as we're taking side shots from the Shoret's Bushmaster 25mm autocannon. So that's gonna deal a bit of damage, but thankfully we have managed to get the the BMP out of harm's way for now, as we push the T-72 to try to block the enemy's capture of Alpha. Right now we're dealing immense pressure and keeping the enemy on their toes, especially the orange player here, as we make the correct moves and fairly quickly, we're taking out his units one by one in quick succession. Now the enemy orange player is using the armored division. From personal experience, the armored division contains a lot of expensive units. So he's not going to be able to field a lot in numbers, whereas his tanks and units are going to be beefed up and tanky. So it's going to take him some time to build up a critical mass, which allows us to have a better time in positioning our units or moving our units further. The deck that I'm working with right now has fairly cheap units, like the T-72BA. I think it's probably around 185 points, so I'm able to field a lot of them, and all my infantry units are fairly cheap as well, so I'm gonna have the numbers advantage, which gives me, if I put them in the correct position, it's it's gonna give me a leg up when it comes to overwhelming my enemy very efficiently. That said, you still have to make sure that you put your units in position, and with me moving my units around, making sure that they're well supplied. Even here right now, I'm using the BMP3 to pick up that Comanche squad, pulling them back to the back line here to get resupplied. These are the kind of things that you should do to keep your units alive, making sure that you continuously put pressure on the enemy. With the end of phase 1, we have secured a 4-point lead, and if you're a player of Broken Arrow, you know the first phase is not that really important. It's crucial that you secure nice positions, but the points doesn't really matter because the later half of the games, things start to pick up as we bring more units onto the field and, you know, just have a good time playing the game. BMP3 does get taken out by the number of tanks. I believe that was 2 heavy tanks now pushing down this road. So with that information in my head right now, I have decided to destroy the enemy supply dump to deny them that crucial supply. Initially, I wanted to wait until maybe this Shored or any weakened units trying to reach the supply dump when my BMP3 is in position to ambush and destroy that unit. But with the enemy reinforcement coming in, I've opted to destroy it instead. Purple is now sending double Vipers now. Strella is in the perfect position to be launching heat-seeking missiles towards the enemy Viper. Does take one out, damages the other, and thankfully my teammate here has enough machine guns to bring down the enemy Viper. Motostrelki is going to be engaging the enemy Morse team, Ranger Morse team up close, and you can see the Motostrelki is a very cheap unit. It's designed to be a balanced unit. The Ranger Morse is actually a specialized unit designed to handle tanks, so up close against infantry, Rangers Morse are not really well equipped to defend themselves against infantry units. Snipers do manage to spot the double enemy V3 tanks now pushing down. Unfortunately, gets spotted themselves, so it's going to be quickly taken out. I have brought up quadruple T-72s now, so 2 pairs of Wolfpack tanks. These tanks are intended, at least in my gameplay right now, intended to work together. So both of them are going to be, or all 4 of them are going to be pushing out. But before that, you can see missiles flying towards the left side here. That's going to be my Tunguska. I absolutely love this unit. This unit has, well, the Tunguska has one of the most effective kill rate for me in terms of destroying the enemy aircrafts. Able to engage enemy from a long range as well as close range with its Eagler missiles as well as the twin autocannon that it has. Infantry now pushing towards the left side in order to contain pink players' units trying to contest Bravo. I have some Comanche squads there, so they're going to be useful against soft target armors as well as infantry. Orange's tanks now pushing up, pushing down towards our position, but our tanks pushing up does manage to spot the wounded tank that is holding out inside Alpha. Destroying it right now allows us to start the capture of Alpha Point itself. Comanche is going to be taking some shots from the enemy tank, as these 2 tanks now push up to try and hunt down the enemy Abrams. I have a Ka-52 Alligator on standby to support my tanks now engagement. You can see the Motostrelki and Desantniki in position to launch several RPGs into the flanks of the Abrams, as I also trying to keep eyes on the left side here. With the enemy units rather static, so I'm going to be queuing up an Su-34 to bomb the enemy anti-air assets behind them. BMP3 getting too close for comfort against the enemy tanks here, as my T-72BA coming up close and personal against the Ranger Smalls takes it out in one shot. Gonna be spotting the double Shored here. This Wolfpack team of my T-72 is rampaging behind the enemy lines, as the other team here is gonna quickly envelop the enemy tank and destroy it. Infantry now catching one of the pink players' tank off guard, takes a rear shot to the end and destroys that quickly, and we have a solid engagement across the entire place here. One of these tanks here, one of the wolves, is gonna be taken out very quickly. Unable to dish out enough damage to spin, suppress, and ultimately destroy the enemy Rangers team. Double tanks here does take out the expensive American tanks as my KA-52 push up on the hilltop here to take out that lone IronThunder, unsupported, unprotected by AA defenses. It's gonna make for a quick kill. Pink now sending its Chinook once again to their depths. Pink player not doing really well actually. Has been constantly feeding my Tunguska a lot of kills here. So by the way guys, the Tunguska in this match has been absolutely fantastic. It's been scoring, I believe. I'm gonna spoil it up a little bit, but I think the Tunguska managed to score at least close to upwards of 1,000 points on its own. So yeah, if you're using the I think mechanized division of the Russian side, do try out the Tunguska for your side. As triple enemy aircrafts now coming towards our position, gets taken out very quickly. My Eagle managed to score a hit on the F-22 Rapper. Tunguska takes out the enemy A-10, and the rest is history. I think one of the killer eggs was destroyed as well. I'm not sure by what. But as our forces have dealt enough damage, I see that the enemy player does not have much assets in the back line here. I've decided to withdraw my forces and push out my infantry to secure the front line. My tanks now damaged. It's going to be pulled back to one of the supply dumps here to get repaired and in order to prepare itself for the next encounter against the enemy. KA-52 barely surviving with almost, I think, one hit point left. My Karma is now on standby to ferry more supplies brought in by the Duplo, as my Metis fires a shot at the enemy Abrams HC and takes it out. As you can see throughout front lines right now, we secured a very solid front lines, made very fantastic calls, and we've come out on top of everything so far that the enemy has launched at us. In terms of kill score, we are very healthy right now at 9,000 points against the enemy's 4,500. Just a solid game plan right now. Now in retrospect, I should have pushed my units further into the forested areas. Like I always said, if you want to play a good game, you want to make sure that the enemy cannot contest the objective points in the first place. So ideally, I would have liked to push my units further up front and hide them inside the forest area in order to prevent the enemy from coming in the first place. But given the units that I have right now, they're far better suited to engage the enemy from a medium range, and this position denies the enemy. You can see the open ground between the buildings and the forest here is the perfect place where the enemy has minimal cover and is forced to push down towards Alpha. My Metis squad would have the perfect position to engage the enemy from medium to long range. As my supply dumps gets dropped off by the Duplo, Karma's gonna be picking that up and ferrying them to different locations of the front lines. You can see on the left side here, I did bring out an MI8 to also bring in supplies, but I'm also going to be loading the Ogmichiki squads into the MI8 and refunding all three of them. At this point, at this current phase in the game, with the enemy severely battered, there's no point to keep the Ogmichiki squad any longer, as the enemy has decided to use more vehicle-based armor against us. So the Ogmichiki, very useful against close range, close to medium range infantry assaults with its thermobaric launchers. Not so much against tanks, unless you get hit in the sides or the rear with the Ogmichiki. So we're gonna be picking that up and then just refunding it. So I have somewhat of a straight line here of all my infantry in position to wait for the enemy to push. You can see the enemy, especially the orange player that we've been contending with, hasn't been showing up right now. So that tells me that the orange player is slowly building up his forces, again because he's playing with the heavy tanks division here. He needs time to build up his forces in order to combat or even challenge us in the first place. So it's only a matter of time before they return, but so far all's quiet on the eastern front, so I'm going to be shifting my attention to the west side here to support my ally here in taking over Charlie. My ally, and you'll still see why, it's the middle of the game, things are going to get a bit feisty and hectic as we push closer towards the midpoint of the game right now. I've opted to bring in several reinforcements to support my ally on the left flank here. As you can see, purple and pink is slowly pushing their forces southwards towards our positions. There we go. Player Pilgrim has disconnected from the game, and when I saw this, I was kind of worried because now I have to cover a huge area front, triple objectives here, Echo, Bravo, as well as Alpha. And if you see, the units have changed color here. If you're not familiar with this game, whenever a player disconnects, all of his or her units goes to the player closest to this player. So now that our teammate here is disconnected from the game, his units are now mind control, which also gives me a bit of a headache because now I have to juggle a lot of places here. So nevertheless, we're going to soldier on, take up that responsibility, forming my battle plan right now. I initially wanted to flank around Charlie while my teammate holds the center here, but right now I have to figure out how to do all of that as well, because I want to constantly be pushing and putting pressure on the enemy, contesting more points as we can. My reinforcements now pushing up, and it's going to be entering the town very soon, as I now start to notice pink player is slowly coming down towards Bravo. With my forces spread relatively thin right now, I'm forced to somewhat make correct decisions. And generally, you want to be making correct decisions at all time. So that includes understanding the positions you want to be in, and especially timing as well. A lot of times players think that this game is about micro, but it's not true when it comes to Broken Arrow. It's more, in my opinion, it's more about positioning your units, which means having the correct units in the correct positions, and just managing your timings. We'll get more about that in future videos, I think, but right now let's get back into the action. Double BMP3 as well as the Ruthushkas, all carrying infantry, is going to be trying to assault the Charlie point right now. Unfortunately, the enemy Cobra is going to be launching rockets at us. BMP3 tries to do some damage towards the Cobra, but failing to nail it down. But my Tunguska, a second Tunguska now on this front, is going to be engaging that and quickly taking that helicopter out. I still have my infantry out, so they're going to be pushing on foot towards Charlie. Bravo now being engaged by the enemy Viper team, as well as a long-range tow Humvee. My Desantniki is going to be left to their fates right now. Big infantry push right now, somewhat tactical. I have a Desantniki chunky 10-man squad and 7-man strong multi-Chowkey teams now all engaging the purple players infantry team. Gonna be careful of that mech infantry because of the damage that it can deal with infantry up close. My Tunguska now hanging about. I also have an ATGM team, Cornet, able to launch long-range missiles towards the Bradleys that are peppering my units. A T-72B3M is going to be supporting my infantry's push into here. As we destroy the last remaining infantry, we're going to be pushing ourselves into that point. Tunguska, driving very up close to the enemy helicopter, does launch a cheeky missile straight to the face of the Viper, taking it out immediately. I noticed there were anti-air missiles flying out from above the ridge here, so I'm going to be pushing my T-72 up the hill to see if I can score some kills. Now you can see Orange has comfortably been building up its forces and has now decided this is the time to engage my forces on the right flank. As I have to struggle juggling between both sides of the map right now, my infantry holding relatively well with the tank in support. We do take out the enemy Abrams, so that's gonna secure Charlie for our team for the time being. My wounded units, I'm gonna be forced to pull back. I'm gonna try to get them patched up. as we on the right side here, we do manage to spot one of the enemy shore right here. Left out alone, my T-72 is going to be quickly eliminating that. Very important keys actually. So another solid kill here. End of phase 2, and our points are in a fantastic lead. But eventually we're gonna get stretched thin. So we're getting stretched thinly right now. So I'm gonna have to play very carefully with myself. Actually, if you look at the minimap right now, I'm forced to hold all 4 points across half the map right now, with the forces while juggling my fight against 3 enemy players here. So I'm battling out against orange, pink, as well as the purple player on this side of the front. My T-72 is going to be able to catch out a wounded orange Abrams. Pink now massing a full force assault onto the Bravo point. My units are somewhat in position to contest that, but right now teammate with its crucial bombing strike. The cluster does damages most of the armor that is present in this, but failing to really knock out any of the enemy assets that they have. Cheeky KA-52 on low altitude is going to be launching long-range VK missiles towards the enemy armor. My T-72 Wolfpack right now also scouring the backline in the forest area to engage any enemy assets. Now you can see the enemy has started to use long-range artillery now, peppering the Terminator belonging to my disconnected ally. And I'm not really paying attention to my allies' units, where I should have been paying more attention to it. But nevertheless, because I'm struggling right now with a lot of things going on, and this has been a very intense match for now. But we're still holding on. I think with the units in the proper positions, supported by other units, we are in a relatively healthy position right now. So T-72 is going to be finding another shore red. As my units on the left side here, Charlie is still secured for now, but we're gonna need some supplies to bring in and repair these tanks here. But Svedka is gonna be spotted by the amount of enemy units here. I'm bringing up an SC-34 and bombing the tree line here, where I anticipate the enemy would be taking cover in. Metis providing long-range support. This T-72 is still continuously to pepper and engage the enemy teams here, as the left T-72 pushes very deep into the enemy territory. Here, we're going to see if we can spot some SAM or supply dumps or any artillery targets. Desantniki holding the ground right now, engaging the enemy infantry up close, as my forces on the right side here slowly gets taken out one by one. So I'm still maintaining some sort of a lead here, as the T-72 is taken out by the enemy shore rat. I believe that was a Hellfire missile fired to the side of my shore rat here. Charlie now being taken by the enemy, and supplies still hasn't arrived to repair these infantry units here. But I'm gonna be forced to move this infantry into the fight in order to delay the enemy from pushing deeper into our positions. Thankfully, right now, my teammate in green here has decided to bring up double TADBV as well as other assets in order to help me contest Bravo. So we're gonna have another teammate right now to rely on and stabilize the front lines for ourselves. Pink does a daring airdrop right into Bravo, but it's gonna be engaged by my Tunguska once again. The Tunguska takes down the Globemasters as this Desantniki squad holds the position against the enemy infantry orange player pushing in. And things are just really ramping up. More supplies now coming in, as I have also brought in more tanks to the left side here to engage the enemy on the western flank, trying to recapture Charlie for our team. Even though we're on a relatively healthy lead right now, it's always good to put the pressure back onto the enemy and making sure that you keep them on their toes. Orange and pink now engaging us as we have some kind of long range. The IronThunders now shelling my Tunguska. The range on these IronThunders is just ridiculous, guys. The range and the accuracy of the IronThunders is ridiculous. So lucky to be getting away from that. for the time being, so my Tunguska is going to be quickly moving itself into one of these supply dumps. You can see how crucial it is to have multiple supply dumps in different positions so that you can quickly dart from one place to another. This T-72 hero of a unit does find the MLRS camped out in the backline of the enemy forces here. So I'm going to be taking both of them out quickly and deciding if I want to destroy the supply dump. Now new contact here, Peach. We're going to be engaging the Peach player here, T-72B3M. It's going to be engaging the enemy tanks up close as the other one captures Charlie for ourselves. Going to be pushing out the T-72, but it's going to be intercepted by the enemy Sheridan here. Purple player Sheridan is going to be engaging, but it's going to be no match for my T-72 BA, but this one is going to be engaging a Bradley, I think that was a Striker ATG, I'm sorry, and an Abrams tank. So as you can see, I'm struggling to dart around from different viewpoints here. It's one thing to fight against multiple players in one zone, it's another to be fighting multiple players in many places. So it was definitely a fun moment for me, a very intensive time. We do manage to score a kill on one of the IronThunders, so I'm going to be pushing out my T-72 to see if I can score more kills and deny the enemy the long-range artillery he's been relying on so far. Forces on the left here has been taken out. I've lost a tank and 2 infantry squad. Kudos to my teammate for destroying that F-35 with its long-range SAM batteries. I was still holding on Charlie, so I'm pushing out my T-72, and it's going to be bumping into triple enemy infantry team. A mechanized engineer, small team, as well as the Stinger. None of these are going to be able to penetrate the armor of the T-72, so I'm happy to just camp it out here and just take the fight head on. You've noticed that I've reversed the T-72 to have the building covered on my right flank though. So when it comes to micro, it really is just these small little details that, but essentially, when you think about it, it's all about positioning again, right? So I'm positioning my tank so that it's only facing the enemy from one direction, and the right flank is not exposed to any fires from potential enemies. So when you take into account these kind of things, it's gonna help you improve your gameplay, I think, and helps you make correct decisions in where you put your units. Metis squad is going to be providing long-range Dushka machine gun fire into the enemy Igla team. So far, my teammate is now pushing towards the Bravo point, but throughout the front lines here, we've been doing relatively okay. I think our teammates are doing fantastic across the front here. With our side, with myself and my teammate now holding the eastern flank against these players, we are stabilizing and scoring more points for our team. T-72 is going to be pushing out to see if it can spot some target. This is a very risky move to have the tank push out unsupported by infantry. As you can quickly see why, because the enemy has multiple infantry in multiple positions right now. So my T-72 is going to be quickly taken out as the enemy A-10 once again comes in to strafe the Metis, but my hero Tunguska is going to be quickly taking that out. Always remember to move your units as soon as they've reviewed their position and fired. So my Tunguska ideally should have been moved by now, and I think myself juggling with all these things, I forgot to be disciplined about it and move it. So thankfully I've driven just in time to hide behind the building where the enemy tank just popped up. So if I had to engage the enemy Abrams with my T-72, it would have been destroyed very easily. Karma is going to be picking that supply up and moving it again because I suspected that the enemy might have already spotted my Karmas in that position. So I'm expecting some artillery shells right now as our forces engage the orange team, still trying to pick a push towards Alpha. Teammate Epoch Hero has decided to call for a vote to surrender, which caught me by surprise because we are doing really well right now. Definitely in a position to win the game, so can be voting no. I suspect Epoch has been having a tough time on the far western flank here. If you look at the minimap, it's full of red players icon there. So we're gonna see how we can assist him in a fair bit. So far so good, even though our forces here is relatively depleted right now. We still have assets in play, and we are still able to call in reinforcements, as I have been doing on the left flank here, still trying to contest against Charlie. The reason why I'm pushing hard against Charlie right now is so that it draws the enemy attention away from Echo, which is one of our stronghold right now. Double Abrams now takes out my T-72 that it was greedily pushing up, so I'm gonna have to be wary about that, because I don't really have anything in this side to be able to counter or defend against the tanks. So gonna be bringing in more reinforcements. The MP3 does engage the enemy tank, takes damage, but we're still in the fight. More Motostrelke teams are now in position to protect the tree line against potential enemy pushes down south. Our units now, once again, why you should be putting a lot of supply dumps in multiple positions so that all your units can remain in a good position while being recharged back to full health. With things sort of stabilizing across the front lines now, I've just decided to say hello to my teammates here and see how things are going, and because it's just a game, guys, right? So I think a lot of times we get too intense with our matches here and get too stressed out, so it's always nice to be friendly and chatty about it. So let's see if they need any help. Epoch Hero is doing a okay job, I think, but we've all had that moments where our forces get pushed to the brink and the enemy play is just better than us sometimes, but it's always good to have allies who are ready to help. In this case, my teammate here is going to be bringing out an Su-34 to bomb the targets. I'm going to be providing some support in the form of seed missions. So I'm going to be suppressing the enemy SAM for his aircraft safety, hoping to get some cheeky kills for myself here. Unfortunately, the SAM battery is now able to intercept the missiles that are coming towards them. Always remember, it's just a game, guys, like, so it's always nice to be friendly, provided if your teammate is friendly in the first place. So I'm thankful to be playing with people who speak my language, so we can understand each other, but sometimes I get paired up with you know, other nationalities who don't speak the language, so it's a bit hard to communicate at times. Su-34 is going to be coming in for another bombing run. 8 thermobaric bombs, going to be landing on those M10 Bookers. Does not really do any damage to the M10 Bookers, but does manage to stress them out and panic them, which will give my teammates T90 a leg up in destroying them. The T90's frontal armor is going to be able to withstand anything the Booker dish at them, unless the Booker managed to flank and hit the enemy on the side, on the rear and side shots here. I have triple Akatayas here to be engaging the enemy. I'm going to be focusing down on the enemy shore rat here. I want the shore rat down. I want the shore rat gone as quickly as possible because I have a attack helicopter on standby behind my lance. I'm itching to use it. On the left side here, the purple player has been remaining stationary for a while now, so my infantry is going to be moving into position to see if I can flank the enemy tanks and recapture Charlie for ourselves. It's crucial right now that we don't lose any more units than we have to, because even if the enemy captures all of the points, as long as they don't reach a kill score, then we are still in a position to win the game. So teammates' tanks did not move, and it's gonna die to friendly's cruise missile. It was just launched towards their position. One minute and 45 seconds left on the clock, and the orange and pink player has decided to push front lines once again. Seeing Alpha being taken right now, I'm going to be pushing in my Metis squad into position to try and capture it. Unfortunately failing to get there in time, but even if they did, it wouldn't matter too much because the enemy has a lot of infantry here in position. My tank and Metis will not be able to hold out on their own. So I've decided not to push in my units any further. When you're pushing in units or you're making a move, it's always a good idea to push them together. There's strength in numbers, and in this case, the numbers is on the enemy side. So if I dive my units back into the point, I'm just going to be ending up sending them piece by piece to their deaths. So stabilizing right now, moving my Igla into a building where I can cover the skies a bit. Attack helicopter is going to come in and see if it can hit one of the tanks. Akasai are now providing a lot of long-range fire support. Alligator, lucky to be surviving 2 missiles attempt here, gonna dive it down to low altitude, hide behind tree lines here. 35 seconds left on the clock. The enemy has a lot of points in terms of scoring the objectives, but as long as we maintain the kill count here, we're still in a position to fight and win the game. Frogfoot here providing some necessary air support as a mass of 4 Bradleys now pushing through Charlie, and it's going to be looking to contest against Echo. My BMP 3 and infantry on the side here is trying to move into position to protect against Echo right now. As things wrap up in the form of the most explosive fight towards the end of the game right now, and in the end we did manage to come up on top and we won the game. GG. So we came up with around 12,460 points, 4,890 deaths with a healthy kill score of KD, 2.55. Plenty of medal goes around, as well as an urbanist one where you destroy more than 25 buildings. So a very good game. Kudos to my teammates here, and it's just a fantastic display of movements, maneuver warfare, and just generally moving your units to where they need to be. As you can see, guys, the Tunguska. The Tunguska has been scoring so many kills. I think if we total up all of the points here, it would have been more than... What do you think? Is it more than 1,000 or 2,000 here? Let me know down in the comments below. And always thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.